Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to go through the process of downloading and installing Blender. Before we download it, I would like to take just a minute and show you what they recommend as the bare minimum requirements of your computer to make sure it can handle Blender and run effectively. So we are at Blender's webpage, blender.org, and we're going to look at these tabs here along the top, and we're going to click on download, and that will show us the requirements. So if you click on that, you can look through these yourself and compare them with your computer's stats, but it shows kind of the minimum, what they recommend, and what would be optimal. I will say that some tasks in Blender don't require a lot. It's later on when you do some more complicated things that your computer needs to have a little more strength. So even if your computer doesn't necessarily meet this, you will probably still be able to do some of the basics. So it doesn't hurt to download and try. So I've already showed you that. And the next thing, when using Blender, it's really best if you have a mouse that has that middle mouse wheel that rolls. A lot of things you'll do in Blender, a lot of controls are tied to that little mouse wheel, and it will make your life a lot easier if you have one of those. Also, it helps if your keyboard has the number pad there on the right. In Blender, when we talk about shortcuts, the numbers above the letters have certain shortcuts, and then the numbers on the number pad have different shortcuts. If you don't have either one of these things, you can still do things in Blender. A few tasks might be a little harder, but it's not a game changer, so I wouldn't let that stop me if you didn't have one of those two things. So next, we will download Blender. So you can click on download and come to this button that says download here. And we have this option, and I have the website there on the screen for you. At the time of recording this video, version 2.92.0 is the newest version, and Blender is really good. Usually a couple of times each year they will update and make improvements, so it's constantly getting better. So always check back every few months when you're working with Blender to see if there's a newer version out. If you click on this link, it should bring up an option for you to save that installation file. And the one I clicked on is for Windows. So if you're using a Windows computer, you should have some type of way to save this. Each internet browser is different, so you just want to save that. If you're using an Apple computer or a Linux-based operating system, you would want to click on this link, and it will give you some different options based on which computer you're using. So, once your file has downloaded, you will need to find that file. Depending on your computer setup and your browser, finding the download could be easy as clicking one of these buttons, or you might have to search for it. And for me, it went to the downloads folder, so you should see it. It will say Blender-2.92.0, or whichever version that you've downloaded when you watch this, Windows 64. So once you find that file, you'll just double click on that, and you will go through the steps that show up on the screen. I've already installed Blender, so I'm not going to go through these again, but it's very simple. Next, let's take a minute and set up a location, or a directory, I guess you would say, to keep all your files as you work in Blender, to keep things organized, and that will make your life a whole lot easier. The location that you choose for this is up to you. One place I like to use is the documents on Windows. The reason for that, once we're actually in Blender and you go to save or open a file, the documents is already there as a shortcut, so it's really easy to get to, and it's right there for you to see. So I'm going to use the Documents folder, and we're going to create a new folder. And on Windows, you just right-click, go down to New, and then Folder. And we are going to name this. Oh, let me try that again. Oh, it's being problematic. There we go. So I'm going to name this Blender _ projects. You're welcome to name this what you want. I just kind of like that. So that's what I'm going with. Now we'll just click on that and open it. And in this, we're going to go ahead and create a folder that will store all our resources. We'll have some textures and some reference images and things that you might want to get to, and you might even use in different projects. So we'll store all those in one folder to kind of keep things neat and organized. So same process, right click, New, and Folder. I assume you already know how to do that, but if not. And for this one, I'm naming it 00-resources. I like to do all caps, just my personal preference. And the reason I put the 00 in front, because I would like for this to always stay at the top. Our next project will be 01 for our first unit, 02 for our next unit. So all your others will be in order, and this will always stay at the top and easy to get to. And like I said, that's my own personal preference. So you may name this what you want. And let's go ahead and make another one. And this one will be 01-introduction _ activities. And sorry, we will add more once we get into the other projects, but for now this will cover what we'll do in our first lesson. So in our next video, we will open Blender and we will discuss the user interface. And just a preview, I guess, the user interface is how you as the user interact with Blender and tell it what you want to do. So thanks for watching, and click on the next video.